All right, so
Excellent.
we're in business.
Thank you. 7:03. Daphne, thank you. Just for everybody, I need to read a script to comply with open meeting law. It's just, you'd think I would get used to this by like the fifth month of virtual, but or really everyone else has got to listen to me. As a preliminary matter, this is Justin McCullen, the TMAC chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So TMAC members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Anthony Delgazo? No. Rain Hoyland?
Yes.
Lieutenant McGrath? Justin McCullen? Yes. Seth Bauer?
Yes.
Rebecca Tarantino? Donna Mullen?
Yes.
Suzanne Stein?
Here.
Thank you, members. Staff, when I call your name, Robert Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you, Daphne Collins?
Yes.
Thank you. And anticipated speakers on the agenda, Jonathan Sussman?
Here. Yes.
Samantha Lemoyne?
Here.
Jennifer Bannon?
Here.
Lindsay Bigda?
Yep.
Excellent. I know we just spoke to Amy Schaefer, who may join in a little bit due to some personnel issues, but she is around. Excellent. So we are here. Good evening. The open meeting for the Traffic Management Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised by and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies like this one to meet entirely remotely, so as long as reasonable public access is afforded, so the public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. This meeting is a webinar and will allow for public comment. For this meeting, the TMAC is convened by Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, so please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer, like a colleague at my work did about a month ago. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting materials. All supporting materials that have been provided to the members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We're now turning to the first item of the agenda after I'm done. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. They'll have about 4 to 5 minutes to present their petition. Just be advised that every one of the members already have seen and have read your petitions, so we are aware. But you can certainly bring up any same information or new information. And then I will go down and open the floor to any of the members of the TMAC for comments, questions, concerns, motions. If we need to, we can talk to our technical advisor about any technical questions. But after that, we will entertain any motions and go from there. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. For items with public comment, so we do have some folks that are going to be joining for public comment. After the members have spoken, before any votes, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will open the item for public comments by raising of the electronic raised hand. For those participating by computer, the raised hand option can be found by clicking the participants button at the bottom of the screen. It will bring up the options to choose. Select the raised hand. For those participating by a mobile device, click More button at the bottom right and select Raised Hand. The chair will call on each raised hand in the order that it was received, or the order that I see them. Please identify yourself by name and address. You will be afforded up to 3 minutes to publicly comment on any petition. Finally, each vote is taken at this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote, which is, we do have to kind of go through every single name and say aye or nay. So it's something that normally in person we can kind of do it by a hand or voice vote, but we have to go through this process. So Without any further ado or comments or concerns, we will open the item. We just did the roll call
Yeah.
attendance.
And Justin, I just want to just bring it to your attention. We have already 6 members of the public attending tonight's
Okay,
meeting.
perfect. So after each of the before, what we'll do is thank you for that, Dabney. After the TMAC members have spoken and commented, I will then offer up to public comment, and anyone else can raise their hand, and we will before we go to vote on any motions. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Checking, have any of you any comments or concerns based on the minutes from last meeting? Anybody? Any motions to accept or modify?
Make a motion to accept the minute.
Suzanne making a motion to accept. Any second?
I will
Second.
second it. This is Seth.
Perfect. Seth seconds. Thank you. And Donna thirds.
I'll go
We do have a
through.
motion to accept the minutes. Daphne, can you go through the roll call, please?
All right, Rain Hoyland. Rain, unmute, Rain.
Here.
I'm assuming that's a yes.
Yes.
Justin McCollin,
Yes.
Seth Bauer. Unmute
Yeah.
Seth.
Yes.
Donna Mullen
Yes.
and Suzanne Stein. The motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you. And now, without stealing any of Bob Wilson's thunder, to the status report. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, yes. I have a couple of housekeeping issues and a couple of technical issues. Housekeeping wise, on status update itself on the spreadsheet, I have added a new column called specific request. It's the third column from the left. It is, it will be helpful in order to clarify what the petitioners are asking for after the fact, or what they did ask for after the fact, to help clarify our discussions, follow-up discussions further on down the line. It's just one of the little updates. This is kind of a work in progress each week, and we'll try to get a little better, but that's part of the housekeeping. And it does seem to clarify my mind too. So regarding the other issue that we talked about was the crosswalk on Bradford Street at Dedham Avenue, which is now painted, and there's a stop bar, I believe, there too. The stop sign is, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not positive about this, but others might know, was signed by the selectmen, I believe, last week to have it input, but it has to go in the newspaper for a week before the sign can be installed. So it might be like next week before the sign's actually up. So on that, on the stop sign. Also, a traffic count was conducted on Thorpe Road, one of our last meetings items. It was item number 7 from October. And the results as shown in the status update, if you have it in front of you, stated that the basically the 85% speeds, which I think was the main issue with this one, was 26 or 24 miles per hour, depending on which direction you're traveling in, right? Which is below 30. So it's, you know, it is less than the the speed limit of the state there for those 30 mile per hour thickly settled area.
Yep.
That's generally new. I'm working on traffic studies when I can get them in before the snow or in between snowstorms. But that's basically where I am as far as that status right now.
Excellent. Any members of the committee have questions, comments, or concerns with regard to the status report or any of our previous business? So I've been working with Bob to just kind of, because I want to start to close out some of these older issues. And so having this column added was kind of a first step toward that, because it will kind of help us, give us a dashboard as well for to prevent duplication. Because we then put this on the website so people can see, rather than requesting the same thing, you know, every third month, which is something that I think we're running into on some streets. Okay, unless there's anything else on there. Actually, Bob, what about last week? We also, before, it wasn't a petition, but it was done through old business. It was end of Oak Street, stop bar moved, and then traffic signal to be re-engineered for no
Right.
turn on red.
Right. I believe Ryan might have some info on the stop bar. I sent him some information. Ryan, do you have that?
Yeah, it's scheduled for movement Friday, and we're waiting for the work order to give to our electrical signal contractor to
Right,
for the
right.
delayed
Perfect.
rain.
For the timing, right. And I sent something over to Tony today, a little rough draft of that situation.
Perfect.
And so hopefully we can move that along as well.
That's fine. Maybe just kind of roll that into one of the things that we on the sheets, so we have that, because I think that was,
It's
I
kind of
was
a,
looking for
okay.
it, but it wasn't there because it wasn't a petition. It was something that was brought up in old business. So
Okay, just add it. All right, that's fine.
perfect. Thank you.
That's
And I
fine.
realize these things take time, so it's not. I just want to make sure. Anyone else have any other business or comments, concerns regarding that? If not, we'll move on to signage on Rivard Road. Jonathan Sussman, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm hoping this one is pretty straightforward. I've lived on Rivard Road for about 7 years. Over time, more and more kids have moved to our street or have been born on our street. We have, I think 11 kids under the age of 9 right now. And there are also a bunch of families that use our street for walking, for riding bikes. It's definitely like a large community feel. People congregate on the street, ride around. And then there's just a lot of, there's really no reason to drive down our street unless you live on it. However, there's delivery trucks that are constantly coming down and speeding down the street. And we have the little, green kid signs out that people put in front of their driveways, but it doesn't feel like it's enough. So the request would be to put some sort of kids playing or kids live here, whatever the sign is, beginning of the street. One other thing to note is it's kind of this, it's like a half sphere. You can't see the full street. So cars just kind of like whip around the corner. And so it's.
I drove down it today, Jonathan. I know what you mean.
Oh, yeah?
It's like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you have some sort of signage.
Yeah, that would be great. Just like a sign on one of the telephone poles or, on the street, wherever it is, anything will help.
Okay. Any members of the committee have any comments, suggestions, concerns?
I have a couple of small questions.
Perfect.
One is, do you have a sense, Jonathan, whether these trucks are coming using it as a through street, or they're making deliveries on your street and zooming in and out?
I think it's mostly deliveries on the street. Yeah, there's no reason to use it as a through street. You could just take a left on Curve Street, which is,
Right.
100, 200 feet down. There's no reason to use it as a pass through.
Mhm.
And my second question is, have you given any thought as to a particular place?
Yeah,
where it
yeah.
might make more sense. And is it off of Curve Street? Is it off of Great Plain? Is it both? What's the?
I think, and I'm open to opinions or feedback, but I would think at the beginning, when you turn off of Great Plain onto Rivard at the beginning, before you hit that first curve, because you can't see around the
Yeah.
curve.
Yeah.
So that seems like the most logical place.
Is that where you're finding most of the traffic going from
Yeah.
Great Plain? Okay.
Yeah, because I think Bob mentioned this. There's a hill, so it's a half circle, and on the other side it's kind of a hill, so people wouldn't speed up the hill. That
Right,
that's
okay.
just yeah.
I
And
see
then
what
my
you, I know
last
what you
thing
mean.
is more of a comment, which is, after years of being on this committee, we sort of feel like we have to warn people that those signs are more about your peace of mind and peace of mind on the block than they are actually effective at deterring a lot of bad driving.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. You have more experience than me on this. I know, having young kids myself, I know when I see those signs, I slow. But you're right, like the general population.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Seth was. So we have, and I'm not saying that we're not going to go through any sort of motion, but our experience is that the more signs you put up, people don't really listen to the, but we do it for, that's what the petition is, or the hearts and minds kind of, rather than actual a mitigation technique to reduce, velocity of a vehicle. But anyone else have a comment from the committee? Unless Seth, were you done, or were you? Okay. And Bob or Ryan, do you have anything from the town, either from engineering or from your side in terms of, Bob, you had gone down that street. Is that?
Yeah.
Do you think there would be some sort of benefit to have something?
There might be. You also have to think about the placement of the sign to make sure it doesn't offend, the sign itself doesn't offend any of your neighbors as well.
So
It's strange, but that is another historical thing we've noticed.
So first, is there anybody from the public that wants to speak about this? And then
There are no raised hands from the attendees list. There are.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let me see here. So, are there any other comments or even motions, or, because I will explain, Jonathan, usually the process that we go through any sort of sign, as Bob alluded to, usually having some sort of signed petition from the folks that are on the street, specifically saying the location, and specifically having the individual whose lot is right by where the sign is going to be placed. We just want to make sure like we say, it's kind of a strange request, but we have seen that somebody's, I don't want that sign in front of my house on the pole.
Fair.
So, and so if you go get that, is that something that the rest of the committees or any member that, I don't want to speak for the entire committee, but is there something that there would be an appetite for filling this? If we have
Sure.
him.
Seems to make sense.
So so Jonathan, if what I would suggest is going back, getting something, a majority of the residents, it's a short street, I see, there's probably 15 houses, whatever, get, a good N for basically the request, and saying that it's okay, and then a slow children at play sign or whatever the sign you feel is appropriate, and then placed at this location in front of this house, facing this direction, so that they we have a good idea, and then having that person on that lot kind of making sure they're okay with it. That's generally how we go from there, and then we can vote on that when it comes back, and then that just goes through the through DPW. They can put that up.
Could that be a email confirmation, or does it have to be like a document that they sign and pen?
Sorry.
Yes, just sign. Yeah, just if something just kind of going around with the clipboard, and you can just get it on the same document. That usually is what works.
Yeah, that's typically the way it's been working.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you can coordinate that with Nikki once you get everything, and then you can just email. You can scan and email that in to the office, so that she'll prepare that for.
Okay. Sounds good.
Excellent. Is that if that seems to be good, then we'll look forward to hopefully you can get that in by next meeting, and then we can work on that.
How often are these meetings?
Monthly.
Okay.
So they are normally the second Wednesday. We had to push this because of the holiday last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Veterans Day.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure. Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So next item on the agenda is item number 5. It is speed on A Street. Samantha Lemoine.
Hi, yes, thank you for your time tonight.
Sure.
I too am hoping to have a slow children at play sign placed outside of my workplace. I am assistant director of the Knowledge Beginnings Daycare Center on A Street. And the problem we're having is our playgrounds and our sidewalks from the parking lot are right on top of the road. And we're having people, not so much people coming from A Street onto Second Street, but it's mostly people coming from Second Street onto A
Taking the
Street.
right turn
They're-
onto. Ace.
Yeah, they're flying right around the corner. And you know, we do everything we can for supervision and safety, but there's really just so little protection between the fence and the road there. And we have a lot of families that walk across the street. They are residents of those apartment buildings across the street. And so our families, and also just the clients at the adult day hab center in the same building as us,
Mhm.
frequently walk that sidewalk and across those crosswalks across the street. And we're just noticing that there's almost a lack of awareness that we're coming up on a like a populated area. I know when you're coming from Highland Street, it kind of sneaks up on you. People very frequently have to turn back around to even find us when they're looking for us intentionally. And so I was hoping that on Second, I'm new to the area, so I'm trying to make sure I keep the street names correct. But on Second Street, coming from Highland Street, I was hoping to have a slow children at play sign posted, just so there's a little bit of like anticipation.
Yep. So that's over by
you
the
know-
adult day health entrance there.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
Yes,
looking
we
at
share a
Google
building-
Maps, so that's why I'm looking this way.
Yeah, we
Okay.
share a building with them.
Yep. I would open this up to any members of the committee have questions, comments, concerns.
Is
Actually,
there a
a question.
crosswalk anywhere over there?
There is a crosswalk. I'm having trouble. I'm pretty
It-
sure. I
There
I
is,
could be wrong.
unless it's
Yeah.
been since this Google map, but according to when this picture was taken, there is one that crosses A Street
A
right
Street,
at
yeah.
Second. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think there is too.
Yep.
I was up there, yeah, I was up there.
Yep.
Earlier today.
so there is a crosswalks. Yeah.
Thank you. Just trying to place it.
Yeah.
So it crosses A right after the stop sign there at the terminus of A and Second.
So like somebody coming around the corner from Second, do they even see the crosswalk?
There's
I
nothing.
don't,
That would be,
sorry.
No, I'm sorry. That's fine. It looks like from the map here. No, I mean, there's nothing to indicate there's a crosswalk there. There's nothing other than the lines on the ground.
I wonder if it makes sense to move the crosswalk. So like there's lead time before you see it. I'm trying to picture the apartment building. Is that new one, right? It's
Right.
Yes.
It's
I
cross.
forget what it's
Yes.
called. And where are those people crossing in the crosswalk or like further in the middle of A Street?
From what I've seen, they're using the crosswalk because the ones that I've witnessed are coming from the end of the apartment building that's further up Second Street and not actually on A Street. They're coming from that direction. And yeah, the crosswalk's right at that turn, and there's only a stop sign. From what I've noticed, I only drive one direction mostly, but there's only a stop sign at the end of A Street, and there's nothing to slow them down coming down Second Street.
My question is maybe to Robert. Has this crosswalk been reviewed under the pedestrian safety audit?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Because what I think
Tony
what we
might have
could,
a little more if he was here.
yeah, no, and because I know that now we have a new process for determining the consultants gave Needham a process for determining whether they would be considered high risk, et cetera. There was a kind of a process to go through. Perhaps we could look at that, looks at volume, and to maybe see that this is a candidate for an RRFB. Number one, if we do have, because of the residential complex now that wasn't there before,
Right.
perhaps this will be something, and I don't know, Samantha, whether I'm just kind of talking out loud. I don't know if this is something that would fall under the criteria, but and that's obviously not something that we would solve here. We would kind of that would be internally with the engineering and highway departments. But I think that I would be in support of, and I'll like to hear my other committee members to see some sort of signage on Second, maybe 100 or so feet back, giving some sort of warning that, you know, either a pedestrian crosswalk or, you know, like a crosswalk signage, which I don't know the regulations, Bob, whether the signage that you put across the street.
That one would be a little tougher because it's kind of not
Because it,
direct. It's
yeah,
an
and
indirect.
I believe the signage has to be on if the crosswalk bisects, if you're going to be,
right.
if the crosswalk was crossing Second, then you could put those.
But if the
there. So-
signage isn't about the crosswalk, but it's about the daycare center, you know, the
Right.
slow
Yeah.
daycare center.
or yeah, there's a.
And actually, Bob, do you know if any of the traffic measures that apply to schools would apply also potentially to a daycare center? Suzanne's saying no, they don't.
Oh,
No,
I
they
don't-
don't even apply to high school. So
Yeah, they don't even apply to high
Well,
schools.
that,
I think
that's
it's
another issue, but yeah, okay.
The school, yeah. My understanding is school zones,
Have to be a school.
yeah, it's not whether it's adult day health or not, but that's a, yeah, but if we can't even get high schools covered, I don't know. But some sort of verbiage, I don't know what kind of signage
It would have to,
be.
it would have to say, my guess, Justin, is something like, watch for pedestrians on A Street, or intersection ahead sign, watch for pedestrian
Mhm.
on A Street, or something to that effect. It
Yield to
would have be a little
pedestrians
bit-
in crosswalk or something like that. when
Right,
you know,
yeah, right,
Yeah,
on
which
A
I've seen
Street,
those.
with the intersection sign up there, you know, the T, you
Mhm.
know, something.
And we also move potentially to have that crosswalk repainted with the
Ooh, I can't remember if that was faded. Was that faded, Samantha? Do you know?
Honestly, I don't, I can't recall.
Can't remember. I was just up there today. and I can't remember.
Me too.
It does look a little bit, hold on, this is also, I can't rely on this Google Maps here.
I
It's
don't
not
know what
Google
year the Google map is, but I know that
Yeah.
Ryan was saying that those vertical Abbey Road style crosswalks are way more effective. And so it seems like a lot of crosswalks around town are being repainted, and maybe this could be added to the list.
Bob or Ryan, does it make sense to move the crosswalk so then you can provide the warning that the crosswalk is coming? Because it seems like the crosswalk's kind of in a place you can't even warn people it's there, which makes it not a safe place to cross. So I'm wondering if it would make sense to, because it's a straight away, like A Street is straight and long and flat, if I recall. I think I
Right.
was just there, and it's like, there's no way to warn it if you're coming around the corner from Second Street. Would it make more sense to move it some feet down, yards down, where people can get the warning that it's there? Make it like actually put it in a safer place.
I think highway and engineering would actually physically need to go to the site to discuss some of the options, and also if it, we usually don't put in crosswalks to slow traffic down, but if there's a residential building that went in, there's a lot of foot traffic from the mixed use that's going into that area. I don't believe it's on the pedestrian study. It focused more around schools and business zones and things like that, and went town-wide. But it might be an area we could go look at, and if the town engineer thought that maybe we should put a crosswalk across Second at some location there, that certainly gets the attention of people on Second. to slow down if there was a need for a crosswalk at that location. So I wouldn't want to recommend putting one in to slow traffic down. That's not appropriate. But if there's been a change of use since that study that we could probably go look at, have that conversation, report back, that would certainly put up the signs. If that was the case, to put a crosswalk in, we'd put the signs in advance warning on Second, and it would have an effect of actually slowing the traffic down.
Sure.
As a sidebar effect.
It does look like there's a faded crosswalk up near Charles River Landing across Second. So that's, you know, a block and a half away. But it doesn't look like it's been painted recently, so it might have been.
So is it worth perhaps making a recommendation that, you know, the town look at this crosswalk, look at this intersection for you know, improvements, given the fact that there probably have been a large mixed use development that, you know, has been there since that crosswalk was installed. You know, there's a lot more foot traffic, but at least looking at what options are available and then kind of reporting it back. Is that something that, and I know I see Tony just is here, and we can recognize that, Daphne, that he's now here for the record. But and then I know, Tony, I don't want to just kind of sandbag you here with this. I don't know what we are talking about A Street and Second, the current the crosswalk that's there, and the petitioner Samantha, who works at the children's daycare center there, was looking at some sort of signage and or something else that would perhaps slow down traffic, that cars coming down Second, taking a right onto A Street, they might not see the crosswalk, or they don't see the crosswalk. And so there's some concern of pedestrian safety. Just to kind of bring you up to speed on that, Tony. So we were looking at some things, just maybe looking at this intersection through the lens of the recommendations of the pedestrian safety audit, you know, recommendations for crosswalk safety. And is that something that the town was willing to look into?
I think we can look into it. I seem to remember the crosswalk being at the bend of where Second Avenue, near the community newspaper building. There's a bend. It's just a little bit down from the intersection of.
Yeah, I think Seth talked about that, right, Seth?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess this crosswalk that she's looking at right now, the one that is bringing her to the committee, is the one that's at the terminus of A Street coming to Second. It's actually, so it's crossing A Street. Her concern is not necessarily the cars coming down because they have a stop sign, but it's the cars coming from, I would argue,
Highland.
probably more so Highland. So take the cars that are taking a right, because the ones that are taking a left still have to slow down and yield to the cars that are coming straight. So there's a natural slowing. But it's the cars coming from Highland who take now a right onto A Street. Is there any sort of signage, Tony, that you're aware of that could be saying like yield to pedestrians in crosswalk, you know, or something that can alert cars that there's a crosswalk right there at the terminus as they take a right?
Sure, we can do something like that. Okay, so I understand. So people coming around taking a right onto A Street, somebody might be in the crosswalk. You know, that's the reason why we put that crosswalk right up at the intersection. We don't put it 30 feet back. You know, we do that intentionally so that cars can see pedestrians. But putting a sign up that says, you know, crosswalk on A Street or crosswalk ahead on A Street, something like that, I don't see why we couldn't come up with something.
Okay. Is there a motion on the table or a suggestion? Comments, questions, more?
Well, do we have to move that we ask the department to go take a look and make a recommendation, or can we just add that ad hoc to your list?
Mr. Chairman, I think that we can do something to warn people about the crosswalk crossing A Street ahead. So I think a motion to ask the DPW to put that type of sign on Second Avenue in advance of the A Street crossing is sufficient.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Oh, all right. Perfect. Thank you. So I'm just Tony, I'm sorry, just from a procedural question.
So Tony, we'll take that as a motion.
We'll take that as a motion. So I will.
Well,
Tony,
you have,
the question was
just-
whether, sorry, yes. Oh, is there any open comment? I'm sorry.
yeah, there's no raised hands among the public
Thank you for that reminder.
on this item.
So procedurally, I know this is something that whether we have to make a motion or not, but I think Tony made a motion.
Right, so I will second Tony's motion to put appropriate signage warning of that crosswalk on A Street.
Perfect. And the verbiage to be determined at the
Yes.
town engineers,
Correct.
Perfect. All right, there's a motion on the table. Daphne? That's yours.
Right, Anthony Delgazo,
Yes?
Rain Hoyland,
Yes.
Justin McCullen,
Yes.
Mr. Bauer,
Yes.
Donna Mullen,
Yes.
Suzanne Stein.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Samantha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha.
Right, next item on the agenda is speed signage on Jarvis Street. Jennifer Bannon. She was here.
Hi. Hi.
Oh, there
I'm
you are.
Jen- Yes. I know, I was trying to unmute myself.
No worries. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm Jen Bannon and I live at 61 Jarvis Circle, and we moved here in the summer of 2013. We have, since we've been here, it seems that a lot of children are living here. Just in the direct 4 to 5 houses on each side of me, I mean, I can gather up about at least 20 kids that are under the age of 10. I know that shortly after I moved in here, some of the neighbors had come together trying to get a stop sign at the end of Nardone. So what we have is people who fly down Nardone, whip right around Jarvis Circle, and then we have people who cut off from the light at Volante and whip right through here. And it's like we've got this going on. And what happened about 2 years ago, my son was on his bicycle and he wasn't in the middle of the road. He was on the side of the road, but this car flew right around and I'm screaming. And it was a close call. So I started being like, okay, we got to get these slow signs, kids slow down signs. Let's slow down. Okay. We know that they're effective sometimes for people who might want to see them or have children or might, think I might not want to hit somebody. But we're kind of at a loss right now because we need help. I think that putting in the traffic light at Volante Farm impacted our community. I would hate for a child to get hit by a car or even us, or with the traffic that flies through here. Obviously with COVID, it's been reduced, but this is just a temporary reducing. We obviously, about a month ago, we had someone stop and take one of my signs and toss it towards my kids in the front yard, and I had to call the police. So I really want to have, we really need like a solution. And all I could think about was, could we have a 20 miles per hour, like to slow down? I know that there's like a safety zone that where, I guess Massachusetts, you can do a safety zone and do 20 miles per hour. Or for the traffic from 4 to 7, the cutting through like they do in Wellesley. I've driven, I mean, Wellesley probably has roughly about the same population, and we've increased in population over the last 10 years. So I just feel like signage needs to kind of come up to that, at least over here with the amount of traffic on Central Ave. So I was thinking about that, slow down, you know, not turning from 4 to 7 off of Central. I even thought about, I know that you guys aren't into the speed bumps, but if we were to buy some that were retractable, so in the wintertime we could take them up at our cost, but we'd want it to be approved. We just need help. We need suggestions. We need, because I don't want to come to you guys with someone hurt. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that. So I'm open to suggestions.
Thank you, Jennifer. Members of the committee, do we have any questions?
Did we do a speed study on Jarvis recently? There was somebody who came a few months ago about Jarvis. Did we do I don't remember if we did a speed study.
I'm just looking up here, unless
I don't see one recently. There has been one done at Nardone and Jarvis, however. It was about a little over 10 years ago, I guess.
Oh. So we wouldn't be able to do anything with that data anyways.
Yeah.
It's over 10.
And when you guys do the traffic study, just out of curiosity, now that, you know, with COVID in the mix, are the numbers, I mean, I know that back when they did a stop sign study, you know, there had to be at least 500 cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, is it still 500 cars?
Yes.
Even with COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing is that what I'm really thinking about is reducing traffic through here and reducing speed. And we have it from both angles. We have it in Nardone and over here. I'm just going to tell you, someone is going to get hurt. So we just need to do whatever we can to avoid that.
Do you think if just you're aware that if I think there is another road in town that has a restricted hour 4 to 7. That's for everybody across the board. That means all the residents. It doesn't matter if you're a resident or not. That is a ticketable offense if one was to take a right during 4 to 7. But that's residents of the road as well as anybody else who does that. You know, there are a large number of houses here, so that's one of the things that if we wouldn't necessarily entertain that unless we had an overwhelming majority of folks, because that would affect everybody on that road, and everybody kind of has to be aware if we were to entertain that, or if the town was entertaining that. Of course, I don't know if Tony or Rain, you want to comment on this, but that's just like the one off of coming off of Wellesley, that short right-hand turn. So if people avoid Honeywell, or it comes off,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, no right-hand turn between 4 and 7. That's including those 5 people that live on that road. So it does inconvenience
Taylor Street, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So just be aware that that's not because some people say, oh, well, residents can do that. It's just for non-residents. It applies for everybody, and the police would be enforcing that to, you know, to everybody, regardless of whether you live there or
That
not.
would also affect Jarvis, Nardone, Best, Julia.
And Julia, Bess and Julia also.
So
right.
I mean, you know, there's certainly options, you know, that one could do that, but that would involve a petition that would hit all of those streets, because, you know, if it would be it was significant impact to everybody. People that have kids, people that don't have, you know, you'd have to bring all the stakeholders involved. So that's
Right.
usually, that's something that can be on the table, but it requires you know, a significant amount of effort because of the impact.
Can I jump in really quick? I don't know if it helps to include me in this because I'm on Bess and right next door, and my complaint included Jarvis, Nardone, Julia, and Bess. So I don't know if you want to lump it together, or I can wait.
This was item 7. This was pretty much the same.
I'm after
Yeah,
Jennifer.
it looked like
Okay.
It looked like the same sort of
Yeah.
issue.
That's fine. We can merge these in together.
I didn't know if it would be helpful because I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
fine.
exact same issues, and I
You're
had
looking for the same kind of thing, so that's
yeah, because people fly down those streets. And
Fly.
I would say maybe 5 houses don't have kids. It's scary. And I've only been there for less than a year. But everybody uses those 2 loops to ride their bikes and walk dogs.
So you think the speed is still the same since COVID? Because I know you that you had mentioned, Jennifer, about COVID. That might affect count, but but it wouldn't necessarily affect speed. So before anything is done, the first step about anything is really we need to study. We need to have the data to suggest whether this is something that can be done or not. And that data is the data that is built on there are certain criteria. They're called warrants that are required for regulatory signages, and those warrants are determined based on traffic studies. So before anything is done, whether there's some sort of regulatory restriction on that road, we would have to have that data. So this might be a 2-stage speed study if it's, because it's a larger area, but what are the areas that you believe are the highest speed in terms of because I think that I would be in favor, and I think I can't speak for everybody, to at least the first stage is to get a speed study. But if we were to do so, and I would first say Jennifer, because that's you were the first one. Where are you? There you are. Multiple. Anyways, multiple screens. Where would you think the area of highest concern from your?
Well, we have a problem at Jarvis because when you kind of go down around that corner, there's someone who rents a house there, and they let their bushes go way out into the sidewalk, and apparently, no matter how many calls you make, nobody's cutting them.
Okay.
I mean, I have made jokes that maybe I should go out there in the middle of the night and cut the bush because you can't see the corner and the cars coming.
And I think from sightlines that the town may be able to at least talk to the resident, et cetera. But then we can take that as a separate.
Yeah.
But
So
where do you think the speed?
I would say the speed is them coming from this way, and the speed right at Nardone and Jarvis where they whip around.
And where are you? I'm looking at Google Maps here.
I'm the blue.
You're like the second house up on the left.
I'm the blue house. I'm the blue
Second house up on the left, right?
Okay.
I'm across from the townhouses.
Yeah. You have a lot of signs on your lawn.
Yes.
I noticed that today when I went.
Well, when you almost see your child get hurt 2 years ago, it scared, it freaked me out. And then I'm like, all of a sudden I'm looking around going, well, there's a lot more kids now. And I'm thinking, are we going to just wait till someone gets hit? I mean, we have to slow it down because I'm just wondering with the town. I mean, I know if we do a traffic study, I mean, listen, we're probably not going to get the right type of data. I mean, now with what's going on, you might see speed, but you're not going to see the quantity, But, that traffic light being put in at Volante Farm impacted us. And it would have been, I mean, I wasn't part of any of that type of discussion. I didn't even know it was happening. But I mean, I just want to figure out a way that we can, still keep our community safe.
Sure. No, I definitely understand. I just want to, I want to, in terms of an address on Jarvis, where do you think the highest speed is? Because I would like to probably be able to make a motion to at least
like a street number.
I would say that by my neighbor, near my neighbor Christine. Hold on, what's her address?
Ish.
It's like 2 houses this way.
Like 41.
41,
Yeah.
Jarvis?
44. She just wrote me 44.
Okay, 44.
Yeah.
All right.
And then obviously that corner is really bad over at Nardone and Jarvis.
Lindsay, did you want to say anything else with regards? Because I also want to, then I recognize that there is some public comment.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a similar issue, people cutting off of Central, cutting through Bess. They fly down, take a right on Nardone, and then they're right at Nahoyden. So, I mean, I'm like, just slap those stop signs everywhere, but obviously that's not how these things work.
That corner, I've had cars almost come out and crash.
Yeah.
Because they could fly right up and take a turn, and I one time was like, whoa.
Yeah,
yes, you need a stop sign.
Okay.
You need a stop sign.
Understandable. I want to first just see, from any other members of the committee, if they want to, have any questions, and then I'm going to open up for some public comment, and then we'll come back to members of the committee to see if there's any sort of motions.
So I just,
Chairman.
Who? Hold on. Was that Tony? I didn't see who said Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, it's Ryan.
Yes, Ryan. Yes.
Hi.
Seth, yes.
As we look at these, I don't know what the numbers are, but Jarvis and Bess, the town has looked at Central Ave, especially the evening commute at Orris Street and Central and Great Plain. The evening commute backs up pre-COVID extensively, almost back to West Street. And so with the modern communications, we're aware that Waze, Google Maps is taking people down neighborhood streets to shorten their commute to do an end run off of Central. So I believe the town, and we can ask Tony, we've looked at the signal, especially at Central and Great Plain, to try to increase the green time, shorten that backup, and reduce cars going down the side streets. And I believe we've had a couple studies that in the future, that intersection at Central and Great Plain will be constructed. It needs geometric improvements to get really good traffic flow through there. But in the meantime, we're looking at extending the green time, especially during evening commutes, to reduce the backup, which would reduce the flow through the back streets. And I think that's the main problem, is that, that people are trying to do an end run.
Yeah, they're following Waze and Google. Yeah, Google Maps.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rain. Seth.
I just have a question. I can't tell from Google Maps where there are stop signs. Are there any stop signs at Jarvis and Nardone, for example?
Nope.
Or
Nothing.
Nardone and Bess?
Nothing.
No stop signs.
None.
So I think that, and so, I think that's where I was going.
Traffic study, is there a point where we want to test to see if there are any places that warrant stop signs?
And this is the thing. We had a stop. I mean, there was a stop sign study here in 2013. And if there has to be a minimum of 500 vehicles, and if that's our where we need to meet, we're not going to meet that. It's going to be about the speed. It's not going to be about the quantity.
Right.
You know.
Sure.
Yeah.
So any other members of the committee before I open up for public comment?
So if we found excessive speed, what would be the ways to address that?
I would think stop signs. If there was a stop sign at down by Bess and Julia and Nardone, and then obviously I would love to see reduced speed around here, so you know, cars aren't flying down here. Even 30 miles an hour, I know that that's, you know, the driving. I mean, that's just way too fast for the 20 children, and I'm not even talking about the other side, okay? Just in this short, dense area.
Sure. I recognize Tony.
There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, the first step would definitely put the traffic tubes out on Jarvis around number 44. And I don't know how close that is to the intersection of Jarvis and Nardone, but anything that's more than 5 years old is no longer usable.
Right.
So I would also, and that was a motion, by the way, and I would also make a motion to put the traffic machines out at the intersection of Jarvis and Nardone, at least to collect the data to see what we're dealing with here. You know, traffic patterns do change over time, so let's take a look at it and see what kinds of options we have.
Sure. No, I agree, and I definitely want to entertain that motion, but because I do know I have two hands raised for public comment that I want to at least get commented on before we finally make a motion, because I think there might be something that we might consider and members of the public have been are attending. So Daphne, do we?
I'll go ahead and promote Christine M. Christine, you've been promoted as a panelist. Unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. I appreciate everyone's time. Ryan, you're exactly right when you talked about people using the apps to take a shortcut to avoid the traffic that certainly does back up on Central Ave and goes all the way to West Street. So it's good to know that you're evaluating the traffic flow on Central Ave because it does impact our neighborhood. Tony, with your motions, I would love it in addition to the traffic tubes being, I'm at 44 Jarvis, by the way. If in addition to the traffic tubes and an evaluation of Nardone and Jarvis, I would really encourage you to also look at Bess and Julia because they enter from Central Avenue. I believe, is that, I don't know if that's Bess or Julia right there, but that's Bess. They whip around so quickly and they take that to Nardone and they don't even stop on the corner of Bess and Nardone. They just go right on. I've almost been hit there numerous times. I think of everyone on this call, I think I've lived in the neighborhood the longest. I've been here about 20 years at 44 Jarvis, and I certainly have seen the neighborhood change dramatically just from the makeup of the residents, gone from, you know, elderly to a whole new booming, wonderful, robust, loud, filled with kids neighborhood. In addition, that traffic sign that traffic stoplight that Jen mentioned at Volante Farms certainly has impacted us, coupled with the use of GPS applications that everyone has to find a shorter commute home. During COVID, yes, things have improved dramatically, but we are all still out there constantly policing the children. My son is no longer of that age where he's playing in the streets as much, but I have a sign, slow down kids, in front of my house. In fact, 10 years ago, when we had the traffic tubes put out at the corner of Jarvis and Nardone, that was the takeaway from this traffic committee. The takeaway was, and the direction to all of us was, sorry, we can't give you a stop sign, so it's on you to put up signs to slow down traffic. Or maybe you could plant flowers close to the streets because that will give the illusion that the road is more narrow than it actually is. So I'm really happy that we are here forward thinking for some greater solutions, because I think we can all agree that putting signs, slow down, children play here, is simply not enough for today's distracted drivers. And thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Christine. And just for the record, can I just have your first and last name, and then your, you said 44 Jarvis, right? Yes, you did.
Yes, my last name is Mawhinney, Mawhinney.
Thank you, Christine, for your comment.
Thank you.
Daphne, do you want to promote, I guess it's Elena?
All right. 1 second. Oops, 1 second.
No problem.
All right, she's been promoted. Elena has been promoted as a panelist.
Excellent. Elena, if you could, oh, I see.
Yeah, Eliana.
Eliana, sorry, my apologies. If you could give your
Terrific.
address too.
Not at all. Thank you so much. I live across from Jen on 60 Jarvis Circle. My name is Eliana Crosina, and I want to second the concerns that have been expressed by Jen, Christine, and Lindsay as well. We have been in this neighborhood for about 5 years, and in this short stretch of time, traffic has increased dramatically. We look to you as the experts, but I also would like to see something done sooner than later, because there are many, many children that are running around, and no matter how closely patrolled and monitored and watched by their parents are, there's inevitably always somebody that comes fairly close to a car and that is traveling way too fast down the street for all the good reasons that you have elaborated. But I encourage this study to be done sooner rather than later. And I appreciate your advice on how to best mitigate this challenge that we're facing. So thank you.
Thank you, Eliana. Is there any other member of the public who want to speak on this item?
There is one more.
Oh, yes.
And
GSP.
I will go ahead and promote GSP. All right. Yes.
Hi, I'm also a neighbor of Jen and Ileana and Christine, and I live at 56 Jarvis Circle. My name is Gori Pandy.
Thank you.
And I just want to, I guess, second or third everybody's comments. They're all accurate, and we are doing our best to monitor the children. But given, between cars not stopping or not slowing down, turning the corners really fast, it's very concerning, and we definitely need. I think it's a great idea to have another study done and analyze all the changes that have occurred in the last 5 years. Traffic patterns do change, and it's impacting our street.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other individuals?
We have
speak on
no
this
more
matter?
raised
All right.
hands.
Thank you, Daphne. So back to Anthony. You were making a motion before I kind of interrupted your motion for public comment, but would you, are you still up for that motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that we do the traffic study at 44 Jarvis, at the intersection of Jarvis and Nardone. And we can also do the study at Bess and was it Jarvis?
Bess and Nardone, I believe.
Bess and Nardone, where they fly
Bess
up
and Nardone.
crash into.
Okay.
Mhm.
So Bess and Nardone and Jarvis and Nardone. Do we have a second? And this would be type, speed, and count.
I second.
Thank you. We do have a second, Suzanne. Thank you. Daphne, if we could do a roll call for that.
All right. Anthony Delgazo,
Yes.
Rain Hoyland,
Yes.
Mr. McCullen,
Yes.
Mr. Bauer,
Yes.
Donna Mullen,
Yes.
Suzanne Stein.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to also make a motion based on the submittal from Best Road and Jarvis.
Okay.
I would move that the town look at the traffic signalization central at Forest, central and Great Plain, and adjust if needed to try to mitigate the backup on Central, which could be causing the cars to go down these side streets.
Okay.
So to study that, come back at the next meeting with a recommendation that if timing could be changed to help mitigate the backup on Central at those two locations.
Yep.
So it's Forest and Central and Great
Forest
Plain and Central.
Okay. Yep. Forest and Central and Great Plain and Central. This would be for studying the signal timing for possible optimization at both of those intersections. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Seth. Second. Motion is on the table. Daphne?
All right. Anthony Delgazo,
I just want to
Aye.
say thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anthony Delgazo.
Hasn't passed yet. Anthony, yes, I think he said aye.
Timing.
Okay. Rain Hoyland,
Aye.
Justin McCullen,
Aye.
Seth Bauer,
Aye.
Donna Mullen,
Aye.
Susan Stein.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. So those are the first, two steps that we'll do. One will obviously try to, help from the terms of the optimization, but the study will give us the basis for being able to do future work to try to help to that area.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
you
Jennifer.
very
Thank you,
much.
Lindsay.
All right.
All right. And now, because we just did that, now we have, did Amy Schaefer?
Is it 8 o'clock? Is it 8 o'clock?
It is about, it's 8:08. So, I know that, I did say 8 o'clock when I said that, right? Did I tell?
Yes,
them
you
that?
did.
Okay.
Yep.
So perhaps, I know there was some personnel issues, so we want,
So did you want to remember, did you want to continue?
I think at this point, unless anyone else has any other business to go to, I think what we'll do is we'll assume that whatever issue that she was dealing with was preventing her from returning, which is totally fine. And I will have Nikki get back in touch with her to oh, actually, I see her on the participant list.
Okay.
So is that correct? Did we lose Daphne? Oh, no, there.
No,
I
no,
see
no.
her on there. Is that she's on an attend.
Is she?
She's listed as an attendee.
She left it open. Yeah, she left it open.
Oh, she's just not there. Oh, okay, I got you. All right. So if she's not there, then yes, we'll have Nikki get in touch with her to reschedule for next meeting. Which, by the way, Seth, I believe you're going to be running up because I have a conflict that day, unless I can reschedule that my conflict.
I don't know. I'll try.
There's a little shoes to fill. But yep, that's fine. So yeah, so she's going to be rescheduling actually. So I did get word of that on text. So I don't feel as bad kind of saying let's do we have a motion for adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Oh, do we have a second, Suzanne?
Second.
Mr. Hoyland, thank you. And
right.
Yes, we do.
All right. Mr. Delgazo.
Aye.
Mr. Hoyland.
Aye.
Mr. McCollin.
Aye.
Mr. Bauer.
Aye.
Donna Mullen.
Aye.
Miss Stein.
Aye.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
Same to you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.